What is your horrible freshman roommate story? The very first weekend of my freshman year in college, my roommate comes back from a party at like 2 AM or whatever, and proceeds to vomit on my ducking desk, which did contain my laptop computer on it. Jay, I know you use Reddit. If you're reading this, duck you. I was the horrible freshman roommate because of one event. I was super tired all the time, so I would often sit on the floor in the shower and just let the water wash my sorrows away. Well, I accidentally fell asleep, and I happened to fall asleep with my butt right on top of the drain. It plugged the drain and caused the entire bathroom, dorm room, and the floor below us to flood. Edit, for the record. This was a newer dorm hall and each room had their own bathroom. I would not sit on the floor of a publicly shared bathroom. He had a GF that didn't attend our university that would stay the entire weekend. They stayed in bed. Lights out. Ordered delivery. Wouldn't leave. At one point I woke up and there was a baby in our room. They were babysitting. A ducking baby. I'm glad you added, they were babysitting, because I first thought she had given birth in your room. I was in a small triple freshman year. Early on, my roommate was extremely studious and would accept nothing lower than pretty much an A on everything. He would beat himself up if it wasn't good enough and we would try to get him to relax a bit. Second half of freshman year he buys a new computer and WoW. Refuses to go to class and played WoW non-stop all night and would sleep through the whole day. It was disrupting to me and my other roommate. He eventually ended up pretty much dropping out of school. I've never seen such a change around. He has actually gotten back on track though and has been doing pretty well for himself. My roommate had no sleep schedule. He also chewed loudly, played the bass, and watched anime without headphones at the same time. At 3 AM. This is honestly the worst thing about roommates in dorms. Mine would wake up super early and would open and shut his drawers as loud as possible, waking me up in the process. If he was staying up late he would bring a huge supply of snacks and open them loudly as he watched Netflix till 4 in the morning. She was disgusting and a total slob and wouldn't let me clean her side of the room. It was always super cluttered with shit everywhere. Our room had a gross smell all the time because of her. So I finally broke down and decided to let her be mad at me. And cleaned everything. I found cups. Like 5 or 6. Of partially drank spoiled, rotten, curdled chocolate milk, plates of partially eaten moldy food. It was horrible. She got so pissed off that I cleaned it that she ended up moving in with another girl. I wasn't upset about it. She'd also have loud crazy sex at any and all hours of the night. Wouldn't lock our door and I ended up getting some items stolen. It was a mess. I was friends with a girl a year behind me. Her freshman year she was randomly matched with a girl who 1. Was convinced she was in a relationship with the lead singer of Tokyo Hotel. And had been for several years. But it was obviously some catfisher on the internet. They would Skype where only he could see her. His video would be blank for security reasons and he told her they could never meet in person because of the media. And since he was always on tour she would Skype with him at all hours of the night to make up for the time zone differences. It was actually kinda sad scary. Several people I know tried to explain to her that she was being taken advantage of. But she would not listen. Pretty sure she did stuff on camera for him and sent him money. 2. Brought multiple bags from home stuffed full of her cat's hair. And knitted tiny clothes figurines whatever out of it. My friend was of course very allergic to cat hair. She got kicked out for failing. And the night before she left she got super drunk. Threw up everywhere and left me to clean it up. You know you're an adult when you're the one cleaning up the puke. My freshman roommate lost her virginity the night before move-in to her much older, very creepy, unemployed, musician, boyfriend. In the hotel room that she was sharing with her mom and little sister, who were in the bed next to them. This guy basically lived with us on weekends. I had to always change in the dark because a strange creepy dude was lying there. Usually but naked. They had a lot of gross sex. She decided it would be funny to pants me during a 4 AM fire drill in front of the entire dorm, which was co-ed. I don't wear underwear to sleep. She failed to see how this wasn't hilarious. There were a million other things, but those stick out the most. Edit, some grammar things because I'm getting hate mail. I was tired and on public transport people. Okay. One of my freshman roommates was a self-professed kleptomaniac. She got a huge thrill from stealing clothes from department stores, usually Nordstrom. In the first week or so of school, she went through her closest and showed us all of the clothing she had stolen. Plus she knew how much each item cost and how she'd swiped it. Thousands of dollars worth of nice clothing. She had so much that half of it still had tags on and she never wore it. But she took it because she knew she could. Usually the theft involved carrying a really big purse, taking way too many items into a dressing room, and then emerging with one item in the purse. One to buy, and the rest to put back. Then if an alarm went off, they would assume it was just the item she had purchased and let her leave. Half the time she returned the item she paid for soon after too. It got to the point where girls in the dorm would go to the mall with her, and they'd all pick out clothes they liked and she'd go back on her own later and steal them for them. It was crazy. And to my knowledge, she's still doing this and hasn't been caught. She never seemed to steal from anywhere other than department stores. And none of my stuff ever went missing. So I guess she wasn't too bad of a roommate. Really. Just a person of questionable morals. She was sweet as a peach to your face, but honest to God couldn't stand not being the center of attention. Lied about insomnia to her teachers because she stayed up late playing video games and laughing super loud and calling her friends. Started seeing things the more time I spent with my boyfriend and not with her. And tried to, against campus policy, rewrite our roommate contract with our sketchy RA so that she could claim I was breaking our agreement and get me kicked out since I was no longer paying her any attention. Maybe this is not the typical story, as I did my undergraduate in Belgium and sharing rooms is not really a thing in Northwestern Europe. Anyway, in my second year I lived together with 15 other students, sharing a huge kitchen and one shower. Most of them were extremely cool. There was, however, one dude that was just plain trash. He informed us he'd have a party one day in advance and completely trashed the place. But on top of that, he raided our fridge. Me being a proper Dutch girl, I always kept Gouda cheese in the fridge. Just the piece, unsliced. He took a bite from the cheese. I came into our trashed kitchen in the morning, only to find my dear cheese with some bite marks in it. He brought a keyboard. He only know the first 50 seconds or so of the Star Wars Cantina song, but practiced those 50 seconds as loudly as possible for hours at a time. I shared a room with one guy. He would have 6 while I was in the room trying to sleep. He drank my booze, ate my food and used my stuff. One night I was sleeping while he was banging away. When they finished, they started making fun of me. I got up, walked across the room and crawled into bed with them. They were mortified. Had a roommate come back to our dorm room from one of the many rush week frat parties he attended. Wasted out of his mind. He stripped down to his stained white briefs and passed out on his bed. In the middle of the night, I woke up to find him standing, totally nude, inches from my bed. His was literally right in my face. He proceeded to fart in my face and then start pissing in the trash can next to my bed. After he was done pissing in the trash can and all over the floor, he promptly went back to his bed and passed out on his bed, face up, with no covers. I got up, got a bottle of Febreze, and sprayed the hell out of my trash can in the rug. I then realized why he pissed in my trash can. It's because he had puked in his. So, I sprayed his trash can too. Then, for good measure and because I was pissed, I spent about 30 seconds spraying his naked big dick and gonads with Febreze while he snored and drooled. Yeah, I hated that douchebag. I lived in an apartment style dorm with a kitchen, living room, and 2 double bedrooms. One of the guys in the other bedroom fancied himself a chef. In reality, I think he was a dishwasher at Outback, so he would cook all the time in the apartment. He had this habit of hanging a plastic shopping bag from the oven door handle and just tossing cut scraps, eggshells, etc. into that bag. The problem is, he never actually threw that bag away. I was never around while he was cooking, so I didn't pay that bag much mind nor realize it was always the same bag. After a couple of weeks, we started to notice a foul smell and the presence of fruit flies in the apartment. I was deep cleaning the kitchen and I brushed up against that bag and no less than 100 fruit flies burst up from inside it. Needless to say, I freaked the hell out. A visit from the RA and the maintenance team to spray, and he was required to clean up after every meal and take the trash out twice a week, on penalty of being kicked out of the dorms. My sophomore year I lived in an apartment style dorm with 3 other roommates, one of which was 60. Let's call her Mary. Mary apparently couldn't live on her own because she suffered from PTSD from a car accident. Her daughter lived near to campus, but Mary didn't want to live with her daughter because that would be imposing. She would freak out and run to the RA for everything. We were playing video games after class. That's not normal college behavior. We must be on Drew Gus. We had a guy stay overnight. How dare our parents raise us like that? We would drink before we went out. We are in serious need of rehab. Doing laundry at 8 PM. She actually took our clothes out and threw them on the ground. Our RA and Hall Association were all completely fed up with her but refused to do anything about it because of her age. We got the police involved in a few occasions for harassment issues, but they basically told us to suck it up and respect our elders. On our last night in the dorm, she walked around with a cross reciting scriptures at us and telling us we were all going to hell. After a year with her, hell seems like a step up. Mine was not terrible by any means, but he did have this quirk that confuses me to this day. Whenever he got something to eat, he would put it in the room's mini fridge to chill. Burgers, fries, pizza. It all went in the fridge before he ate it. After his food was properly chilled, he would take out a head of iceberg lettuce and ranch dressing and eat it as a side. Sometimes he would rip off a leaf and dip it in a ranch bowl. But more often than not he would drizzle the ranch on the head itself and eat the whole thing like an apple. Possibly the oddest eating habit I've ever seen. They actually crammed 3 of us into a dorm room. That was bad enough because it was ducking cramped. One of the guys that was in there seemed totally fine when I first met him. Turns out all he did was stay out partying really late every night. Then he'd sleep in. Every single day. We never even got a chance to talk to this guy because he'd come back after we'd gone to sleep. And he would never even wake up until we were long gone attending classes for the day. Even then I wouldn't have cared much. Except I don't think the kid ever took a shower. He made our whole dorm room smell like some kind of sour tangy BO. And it was ducking awful. If I remember right. That sheet went on until Thanksgiving break. When we came back from break, all his sheet was gone and we never saw him again. I was the horrible roommate. I tried to commit suicide the day before school started. Fortunately, my roommate didn't learn of that until later. Although she did inadvertently save my life that day. So, I was suicidally depressed. Soon after school started, I had a schizophrenic relapse with psychotic episodes. We had no idea about psychotic episodes or schizophrenia at the time. I ruined so many of her days and nights. But she got me help and stuck by me. She even agreed to be my roommate again when I was able to return to school. Found his Tumblr. He was talking about how every time he sees me he wants to shoot me in the face and my best friend was antimatter or some BS. I didn't report him or anything because I knew he was just venting and was too much of a wuss to actually shoot me. I like to live dangerously. My roommate was 7 feet 1, 340 pounds. He was a ducking ogre. The kid didn't understand personal hygiene and would shower maybe every 2-3 days. My room would smell like dirty diapers. It got so bad to the point where I couldn't have company over anymore. One day at basketball practice he was being roasted for always smelling like shit and to wear deodorant. To which he replied stunned. All of you guys wear deodorant? Yeah, duck you Max. I didn't go to college, but when I was 19 I lived in a small rental house with 3 other dudes. And there were shenanigans. The worst was Joe. He came home blackout drunk once and broke the bathroom. He broke a mirror. Then fell onto the toilet. And then into the shower. Which bent the rod in half. And somehow pushed the toilet off of the mount, causing a huge wave of water to spill in the basement. He literally broke the whole bathroom. Plus that same day he cooked a pizza and a bunch of cheese and pepperoni fell to the bottom of the oven and burnt. And made the whole house smell like burnt pepperoni. Joe sucked as a roommate.